Hello, good morning everyone, and how are you today? Um, I'm just getting everything organised, same as usual. I've remembered my microphone though, so I'm really hoping you can hear me well. Um, as per normal, I see, actually, I'm just seeing that. I think it was Rachel, you put a comment in, so we'll cover that a little bit later. Someone's here, so as normal, say hello in the comments, let me know you can hear me. If you're watching replay as well, then please just put a comment in there, ask the questions. So I wanted to just start with a little bit of a summary of yesterday, which was here. So, oh, you can't hear me? Oh, is anyone else on? You can hear me? Sorry, Rachel's just commented that she can't hear me. Let me just see. My microphone says it's working. Rachel, I'm just going to wait a few minutes. Just in case you're sure you're not on mute on anything on your end, because my system is showing that the microphone's working. Okay. Okay, good. I was just about to panic. So you've managed to go back in. That's great. Okay, thanks for being here. I think it's only you watching live at the minute, so I might just talk briefly about your comment. I was planning to cover it off, but just while we're waiting. So I'll show you a bit later on. I'd kind of planned to cover this, but the answer to your question is about how you've joined the page or the group. So sometimes the group will let you join as your page, and sometimes they won't. Some groups have rules about that. They don't necessarily want, because if a group, it likes to be closed and controlled, and if you have a page, you can set up a page and have admins and all kinds of people on the back there. So some groups don't like to have pages joined because it opens up and they don't necessarily know who it is. So it just depends on the group and how you've joined it. That said, Facebook are making changes, so you can have a bit more control over it. So it's not really a straightforward answer, but when I go through today, hopefully you'll see that you can control that a little bit. And that's certainly something I need to do, is go back and look at how I've joined pages as myself or as a group. Okay, so hopefully that helps a little bit. So keep a look on as we go through today, and maybe you can see a bit of time, you might be able to fix some of that. Okay, great. So I've got Aparna. Hi, thanks for joining. Hopefully you can hear me all right. That's great. So I just have up a slide at the minute. Hopefully you can all see that with me down the little corner. Just going over yesterday. So we talked about the profile photo and the cover images, your about section, contact, the tabs, and the product and service details. So great, really pleased. A bunch of you put comments in. So I'm hoping I got to all the comments. If I didn't, if there's something still outstanding, maybe just give me a nudge. Maybe go back and find that comment and just highlight it again. I did get slightly distracted with homeschooling yesterday, so things went a little bit out the window. I don't know if any else, I'm assuming there's a few others here that have a child somewhere else behind them who may or may not be helping you or interrupting. So I think we can all understand that. So, and in fact, I'm just noticing, I think you can see it down my screen, just right in the bottom corner. It's a packet of crayons. I mean, he's 9, but we still have crayons in the house. Okay, you too, Rachel. Yeah, the struggle's real, right? Okay, so let's get back to today. Let me just make sure I'm on the right page. Let me just go down. So we talked about the call to action. So day 2 on the 5 steps to light up your Facebook page. And I wanted to talk today mostly about the algorithm and the content. Great. Hi, Sharon. Thanks for joining. So the algorithm, I'm going to assume people have heard the phrase but don't necessarily know what it is. But it's a system that's used by Facebook to decide which posts are going to show up in your feed. So what they did probably 18 months ago, certainly in 2018 sometime. So they changed the algorithm quite significantly, and Facebook are prioritizing, and this in quote from them, meaningful person-to-person interaction among friends and family over posts from Facebook pages. So I mean, I don't know, don't panic. I think probably as you're reading it, it can seem a little daunting. I think everyone in this group has a Facebook page. That's why you're here. So it can be a bit scary, but it's not to panic. I mean, I'm still getting lots of pages come up through into my newsfeed. I'm seeing lots of important information that I want to know. So it comes down to a couple of things on how you have set up your newsfeed, and we can control that a little bit. So today, what I want to just do is show you a couple of things, how you can perhaps control your newsfeed a little bit more, and then I'm going to talk about how you make content that people are going to want to engage in. So first of all, a lot of people don't know this, I don't think, so correct me if we go through. But one of the things that you can do, first of all, is if you're on your own personal page, so this is me signed in as myself, no content, no groups, nothing showing. If I actually go up into the top right here, and I can see the newsfeed preferences. Oh, sorry, hold on, let me get rid of some stuff so you can see a bit better. Let me get rid of all these. Okay, hopefully you can see a bit better. So see, if I've popped that, I've done that drop down. So it was the drop down here, newsfeed preferences. And what it's giving an option is I can choose who I want to see, who I think is most relevant for me. So I'm going to click that first of all. And what it does is it brings up everyone, groups, pages, everything you've seen. And as you can see, I've got little blue stars. I mean, it's very egotistical having myself first, but it's important to just have your own page so you can see the content that's coming through. And then the blue highlights are people or groups or things that I've highlighted and I want to see. She's not in here, but that's Susanna with her business. I'm sure some of you will recognize these people. Here's Jenny, Aparna. So here we go. Great. So I want to see everything Aparna, and I should have this. I'll find your page actually later on, Aparna, as well. But you can click on things so you can see, oh, there's Lindsay too. So I want to do that. So my advice is, in one of the challenges today I'm going to ask you is to go through and review your newsfeed and have a think about who you're most friendly with, who's putting content out that you would like to see. So you can change all those. You can go through and unfollow groups and people as well. So here's the groups that I want to do. I like my feed. I don't want to, oops, oh dear, I'll have to go back in to do that one. That was a mistake. So you can go through as well. It's an easy way for perhaps to get a little control on what groups you're members of. And you can reconnect. Here we go. This is where I'll do it. So I'll go back in with the ones that I've got. So I think by doing it this way, because sometimes when you join groups, as you will have done when you joined today's group, you'll have asked some questions. And I think by doing it through this way, you can actually skip those questions because you're already there and you did, like I did, the accidental unfriend. Okay, so, there's snooze settings. If you want someone you don't want to look at, through the other side, on the actual page, you can go through and say snooze. I don't want to see anything from this page for, I think it's a week and a month, something like that. So I haven't set any of those at the minute. So it's definitely something worth doing. So have a look at that. Have a think about who you want to see. Does that make sense to everyone? Is it something you'd seen before, or is this kind of new, something you weren't aware of that existed? It'd be really good to know if that's well known or not. Just give you a minute for that. Just a thumbs up if it's something you knew before would be helpful. Great. Thanks, Rachel. So it's good. So it's something worth to look at. Now, the other thing as well to just be aware of for you personally, but also as a page, whether you want to ask people to do this or not. But when people are following a page, you can select here to see first. Okay, so this should then correlate to the page that we just saw. So like I said, I had the blue star against my page like social. So it's showing it as see first. Okay, so and also so you can do that on lots of pages. Hi, Susanna. So if you're joining a new group and it's something you really want to be keen about and keep on top of, then when you select to follow, it will be as a default. It'll come here. Oh, sorry, going too fast. It'll select as default. So you can go in and then choose to say see first. So like I said, as far as I know, a lot of people aren't aware about this. It depends how you feel and the situation, but I have seen people do posts about this and say, look, I'm amazing. You're going to want to see all my posts first. So, can I suggest you go in and select to follow my page and put it as a default to see first. And that way, when you come through the news feed coming through, we'll start putting their posts in near the top. Okay, so and that's what happens. But we can't always do that. And I mean, if you put everything first, then obviously you're going to get back into how the algorithm then decides on what to do. So although these are helpful tips more for how you can manage your page and do things, but really what Facebook are asking for is more engagement. So I just want to show you this next quote. Hopefully you can see. So here's Mark Zuckerberg. Your posts should encourage meaningful interactions between people. Pages making posts that people generally don't react to or comment on could see the biggest decreases in distribution. So I just have a little think about that. So what he's saying is it's really all about engagement. They want to see pages that are putting posts out that people are responding to. And that's liking it, putting a smiley emoji reaction, commenting, and a little bit more on commenting and sharing. So and the comments aren't just yes, no. It's about being engaged in what you're talking about. So it's something there that really people are interested in and want to know questions about. So it's quite a skill in getting that right content. I just quickly check, Sharon, should we be just changing this on personal page or business page or both at the same? That depends on how you want to work, Sharon. So I was saying a little bit earlier because Rachel had asked a similar kind of question. Depending on how you want to operate as a business, you'll want to think about joining groups as yourself or as your page. And then some groups are set up so you can't join as a page. You have to join as your personal profile. So there's there's lots of things moving on actually, depending on the group settings, whether you can join as yourself or your page, depending on how you want to be seen as yourself or your page when you're interacting, remembering that some people like that personality rather than seeing a business name. It can put them off and think you're just there to sell. So to your answer, it depends on how you want to do it. Your personal page, you will be signed into some groups like that, and it's on your personal page that you need to go through and do the settings. So here's me on this is my personal page, myself, Alana Light, and doing the news feed. Whereas if you're joining something as your page into a group, then when you've joined, or even as your personal, that's where into your settings you're going through and finding that you want to see first in the news feed. Okay. I got a bit jumbled up there, but hopefully that makes a bit of sense for you. Okay, Sharon? Does anyone else have any questions on that? I'll give you a few minutes to sink in. I just want to point out, I want to say thank you. I think talking to you yesterday and probably mostly Aparna forcing me into this. I changed my Facebook cover yesterday to put in a call to action. So there was some questions and comments about this, but just to explain how I did this, I went to an outside app called Canva, which is really great. I recommend it if you're doing editing. And I created a graphic here, which the graphic had this built in. You can get moving icons in there. And also within Canva, you can create it as a little slideshow So I then uploaded it as a video, and then put the video into my cover. So it's not perfect. Some of the sizing isn't quite right, but I mean, this is just running as a pop-up for this group. So I'll probably take that down end of next week. Okay. All right. So back to the types of posts. So really sorry, I just want to get back to me. So I'm not watching, distracted with that. So really back to types of posts. So Zuckerberg and Facebook have said that it's going to be meaningful interactions, engagements, and posts. So what can you do about that? So, I mean, I don't want to stray too much into it. There's a whole heap of marketing in here about content marketing and knowing your audience and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to touch on this stuff. It's important. It's not necessarily my expertise. I know about it, but if there's something you're stuck on, then it's worth talking to a marketing expert on it. So really, when you're putting stuff onto your page, onto your group, and you're trying to get to the right audience, that's the first thing you've got to do, is knowing your audience. So I did do a blog on this on my website, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. Really, when you're starting out, you've got to know who your audience is. So it's worth spending time. And in fact, I did come up with a template on, your ideal client. It's not my expertise, but I'd worked through it myself. So just using my own knowledge, what I did. But really taking the time to think about who you are hoping to attract, who your audience are. And that's, simple things like their demographic, their age, their annual income, are they married, do they have kids, that kind of stuff's probably easier. But then take it into the next level and thinking about what platforms are they already using? How are they using social media at the minute? And sometimes it's easier to think about yourself. So I'm probably checking it, sometimes before I get out of bed, then I'm doing breakfast, and then I got a bit more time to have a look. So, and I'm flipping between Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at the minute. So those are the platforms and the times that I'm on it, and thinking about what I'm searching for. If I'm, I don't know, planning my next holiday, am I looking on Facebook for that? Am I joining groups to ask people for advice? Really drilling down into thinking about who they are and what they want. And then you can do lots of search. If you go back into Facebook, it's really worth finding and joining some groups that are where you think your audience might be. So, they'll all be different. There's so many. Here we go. Facebook suggests groups for you. Sharon, there's an interesting one I'm getting popped up for me. Social Mums is a group that I was doing some workshops with. It finds things that you might be interested in, buying and selling groups. I'm not sure why that keeps popping up for me, but it's worth going through and having a look at this, and then going in and looking at what people are asking. Once you're in a group, let's find a good one. Here's a content hub that is a group I'm in. It's about content planners and finding things. If I'm in here, I can then go through the group and say, let's search for things about Facebook. And it'll come up with stuff. Here we go. This is pulling up a comment that someone's put. The 20s weren't played out on Facebook. I don't know if anyone's caught this. There's this hashtag me at 20 going around as a viral hashtag at the minute. So it's in there. But my point is, you can go through into groups and find where people are asking questions and what they're doing, and take the time. My recommendation to clients I work with on this is that you build time into your day to go through and research. So look for groups that were relevant for you. If you're targeting local, then join your local Facebook groups. I live in Burnham. There's a Burnham Village page, there's a Burnham Village residence page. I'm in those quite frequently, just having a look and just answer questions and be helpful. Join in. Rachel, I keep thinking to you. It's a really easy one. People are posting about, wow, it's really hard. We're in today lockdown. Carefully done. You could easily come back and say, well, I hang out for my gin every day at 6 o'clock. Maybe not every day. People might get the wrong impression, but you can join in, and you're not then saying and come and buy some. You're making it helpful and trying to answer some questions. So the next step of that then is to go through, and I just seen a smiley face or a laughing face. I'm sure that was you, Rachel, or maybe not. So the other thing to do is research the competition. Later on in the week, I'm going to go through some of the metrics that you can get on Facebook itself. There are some places you can go through and find out when your audience are on and what other pages there are. But look at what your competitors are doing. Don't copy them. I mean, that's a big no-no. But you can have a look at what's happening. Rachel, I totally agree. Struggle to keep up with the groups and engage. It is hard. But it's worth doing if you're really trying to build an audience, see what's happening and what's doing. And like I said, it's better to try and be proactive, try and think about what they might be searching for, rather than trying to always keep through and watch the feed, the scroll through, because it won't all be relevant. So my advice is try and find a time and restrict it to 30 minutes. I'm just going to look at groups and I'm going to find stuff, right? And it might lead to something else. Keep that separate, and it's a separate task later. But take that time to really look at the groups and understand it. There are some other things as well. Another little tool I thought I'd just show you today is something called Answer the Public. I don't know if any of you heard about this, but it's a cool little tool which comes up. Hopefully, I haven't shared the screen. If I share my screen, it's a bit of a scary looking man who has come up. So if you see up here, it's literally answerthepublic.com. And I can't remember exactly around it, the background on it, but it is a tool that is looking at what has been asked across the web, right? Mostly Google searches or into Facebook, or I don't know exactly where they pull it all through, but it's really good. So here you go, and you see here's one I was just playing around with today earlier. I can type in whatever I want. There's scary persons waiting for me, and if I do a search, it'll come up with things, the types of questions people are asking around this topic. So I'm hoping you can see that. Okay, I'm not sure how well that appears on the shared screen. But you can see it's got, here's my question, and it just gives a whole heap of questions. Apps to help with social media addiction. It's the other side. Help with social media marketing. So it prompts you to have a whole set of questions about, what you want, what they might help. So I'm trying to think. Aparna, let's take yours. Let's think. How can I transition spring to summer wardrobe? Try and be quite specific in the question you're asking, so it will help with more specifics. Who else is on today? Susanna, love Answer. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? I discovered it 6 months ago, I think, and it is. You can get kind of lost in it. Rachel, I don't know if you've come across it, but I'd be putting things like I don't know, gin-based cocktails, perhaps. What's the best gin-based cocktail? Things like that. So you can get a whole heap of data here. It comes out. I mean, I love it because it looks pretty too. But there's a lot of information, and you can download this. Download CSV. For anyone knows, it just brings it into a text format, which you can open up in Excel or so on. So lots of questions in there. So that's kind of my next stage when I'm working on a client, I'm building a strategy out for them, is have a think about those questions. So really, really important. And then from that, you can start to build posts that are relevant to them. So you've done your research in your groups, you've done your research on places like Answer the Public. You can just go into Google and Google questions and see what comes up. Pinterest is another place where people are saying is a really good search option at the minute to have a look at things. Let's see, Aparna, useful, great, I'm glad you like it. As I'm struggling with engagement and what my audience want, They see my posts but don't do anything. Jen sounds good. Jen always sounds good, right, Aparna? And Rachel. I think your ideal audience are right here, Rachel. So, so I lost my train of thought a little bit. Where am I? So you've got all your research done. And then, so Aparna, I think to this might help you then this next bit. It's about getting them, you see your post, but what you really need to make sure is within your post, you're putting in a call to action, right? So you have to get a mixture of this. You can put a post together, share it with people, but they're just left hanging going, great, well, that's really good to know, thanks very much. But you really should ask questions from them. So, Aparna, I think yours, I'm going to stick with you because you're asking, but let's say, here's the latest color. And you've done it, actually. I saw your post where you put a lady in 4 different outfits and you asked people. That was really good. And I don't know if you saw that, but hopefully you got lots of engagement. So Aparna put a post up as a woman who was wearing 4 different types of outfits. And Aparna said, which ones do you think looks best on her? And it's really simple because the key about that was you'd put in options. You'd A, B, C, D. You'd labeled, I think it was A, B, C. So then people had to just go, oh, A, because it's red. I picked the one that was red because it's one of my favorite colors. So ask questions, create a way that people are going to respond on it without being too spammy. I mean, again, you don't want every post to be, tell me what you think about this. There's a lot of stuff going on around about the lockdown. Here we are, and I've lost track of the day, whatever it is. How are you surviving? School's back on. People are asking about that. So it doesn't always have to be about your business. You can ask, I'm struggling to think of an example. You can ask things that are just not related to clothing, gin, cooking, right? It can be anything. It can be help. Ask someone if they've got anything. And now the one thing to avoid on the flip side of that is what we call bait commenting. So don't ask too much for people. Well, don't do either, because Facebook algorithm, again, coming back to that, is scheduled to look at people. If there's comments, there's a lot of comments, but they're all saying exactly the same thing, then they consider that baiting. And I'm just going to refer to, so engagement bait can come in different formats. I'm just going to make sure. So tag baiting. So it's saying, if you like this comment, please tag 4 of your friends, right? Because you suddenly get a post that's got all just, hashtag, adding at people, then that's what they call tag baiting. Comment baiting is asking people to reply with specific answers. So, you're always asking for people to say, what's your, favorite, or just tell me yes or no if you like this. Right, just a single answer. You can do it occasionally, but don't do that too much. Vote baiting, so just say, please hit like if you like this. And share baiting, don't ask to be shared. You can do it occasionally if it's in a request way. I've done some stuff where I'm running this Facebook pop-up. If you know someone, please let them know. But it's not saying you have to do it in order to get to the next stop. Okay, does that make sense? Anyone got any questions about that? I'm loving Aparna, the gin options, Rachel. I think there's lots of gin options out there. So really today I wanted to just explain to you that that's how the algorithm works. So yes, Facebook is preferring family interaction. And in theory, the reason for that is to just make things a little easier for people, make them feel a little less harassed by pages trying to sell stuff. So in theory, their motives are good for it. But as a business page, it just makes us have to work a little bit harder. If you want to get organic reach, it just makes us do a little bit, a few things extra to try and keep building that. So it's not, and I personally think it's a good thing. It does make it harder, but it's rooting out those people who are paying for followers or doing the tag baiting. Here, just look at my page, it grew 5,000 people, but really you look into it, it's just random people liking. And this comes back again, I don't know if any of you saw it, I think I put it in my personal thing, is, right now in this kind of environment, I'm getting a lot of requests from friends and connections that are, can you please like my page? Small businesses, we're struggling, and it's really hard time. But if you just like a page and then you're not following their comments, you're not engaging with their comments, then actually it's going to be worse for them. Have a look at the post on my page, or ask me if you can't find it. But if you then have 500 people liking your page, but your posts are only getting a couple of comments, then Facebook's going to look at you and go, actually, that page isn't really doing anything that's useful, so we're going to deprioritize that in the newsfeed. Apart from the 1% of people who know about that newsfeed preference, so you're going to start dropping down. So, I put this post out saying it's really hard for these small businesses, but unless you really like them and you're going to actively make sure you're helping and commenting and following, then you could do more harm than good by following at the minute. Thanks, Aparna. Is it good to share my business page post non-fashion into my group? My business page post into my group. Yes. So yes, you keep your group. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Groups are slightly different because that's community based, and it's about the comments and being involved to keep conversations going. So Facebook isn't really affecting the newsfeed in that. When I'm talking about the newsfeed today, it's about how your page is. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with putting a post on your business page and putting it into your group. I mean, in theory, people are possibly in your group because they already know about your business. So I'm not sure if you'll be overlaying. You'll have to look at how your sorry, Rachel, you have to look at how your audiences get crossed over. So how many people in your group are already on your page, and therefore is it worth putting it into your group as well? That makes sense. Rachel, so should you not post every day for presence? It's a catch-22. It's not. Yes, you should post on Facebook. The more you post on Facebook or on social media generally, the more exposure you get. But my kind of advice again is think about your audience, and it's more important to be consistent than to be posting a lot. Yeah, so I still think, particularly on Facebook, yes, you should be doing 7 to 10 a week if you're really trying to grow. If you're running a specific time, a targeted campaign, if you've got a new launch or something, then possibly it's a bit more frequent. But it's really about being consistent rather than just being here, right? And you can argue not every single post is going to get major content, but don't just be putting things out for the sake of posting. Think about what you're doing and what that content is. So again, it comes back, and I do feel like a stuck record sometimes on this, is you've got to know your audience. Totally honest with you, when I first, when I did my training, when I first set up Like Social, I didn't do this. I'm not really sure who I want to work with. I'm not sure who my audience are. I don't want to niche down because I might miss out. But actually it's really hard because then my content was kind of mixing up. It wasn't really reaching anyone because it was so generic. So it can change. So it's worth thinking about someone or a group of people that you really, really want to get to, and creating stuff for them, and then thinking about how often they want it, right? On Facebook, I think it is every day. Subject for another day, but in Instagram at the minute, I haven't posted for a little while. I've been over here, but I kind of think you're putting in stories. So stories every day, post, maybe not every day. Facebook, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, the stories on Facebook is similar to Instagram. It's starting to get a bit more exposure. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about that tomorrow. Okay, so that is roughly half an hour. Has anyone got any other questions that they want to cover today? It's a tough subject. We're going to have to get through it. Yesterday, yes, practical, showing you the Facebook page, but really can't move on until about types of content and what to create, until you've really understood how the algorithm works and how the newsfeed works, and doing that step of knowing your audience and understanding what's going to work for them and what kind of questions you can answer. So I have used the phrase, but the pain points, what are they struggling with that you can answer, and creating content around that. And it's going to be unique to you all individually. So this is a subject you could spend hours on. There's people who specialize in this area, but high level, that's what you need to be doing. Okay, so challenge for today, I would like you all to just go through your newsfeed, through your personal profile, have a look at your newsfeed, have a look at who you're following, what groups you're in, have a look at the groups and see if you're as yourself or as your page, and if you can, potentially change it if that suits your business model and your business plan. And then if you haven't done it already, think about your audience. Who are they? Why would they come to you? What are you going to solve for them? Those kind of questions. And, again, I'm not into this, but it's not my field of marketing. But, what I do is I actually have a list of, pain point questions, if you like. And I kind of keep that as a prompt every so often to go, right, what am I going to post about for the next, quarter, or when I'm doing my annual planning, thinking about those questions and keep them there. And they're coming through, to be honest, the questions you'd have asked when you joined this group. That was it. That's the most hardest thing. What do you find hardest? And a lot of you have said engagement. So I'm trying to cover off that as being your pain point. Okay, great. So homework for today. As always, put your comments in, please. I'll help you as much as I can. And if not, I'll round them up in tomorrow's Q&A. But thank you. Have a great morning, and I will schedule tomorrow's live 10 o'clock again. All right. Have a good day. Thanks, everyone.